Hey there, everyone. Welcome to A Slice of Life with Kelly and John. Today, our guest is Debra Denker, who we have spoken with in the past, but she's got I think you have some new things going on.
Mhm.
The World Project, the Lost Worlds Project.
Lost Worlds Archive. It's an archive
Okay.
of photographs that my parents, my late parents, and I have taken all over the world since 1966 when we first started traveling.
Oh, wow. Well,
I
and
haven't got, sorry.
where will this archive be? And like, yeah, that sounds
Uh,
exciting.
Yeah, I have a nonprofit called Perception International, and one of the projects of this nonprofit is called the Global Diversity Film Project, and I've made various documentaries about Hawaiian spirituality and Alaska Native, an oral history of a dear friend of mine, Elizabeth Keating, and a trip to Tibet that some friends and I took that was helping teach midwifery. So, anyway, I decided under that to do this Lost Worlds archive because 10 years ago, well, my dad passed away in 2014, and he was a photographer. And then my mother had become quite a good photographer and videographer. And after they both passed away, so she passed away in 2015. And I got all of these bins of photographs here to Santa Fe. I just thought, what am I going to do with all of these? So I've made a small start on it. I have about 250 photographs so far, only my own, but I have about 30,000 of mine and 10,000 of theirs. Obviously, I'm going to edit them. But so I just decided to go ahead and start something. And it occurred to me that the world has changed so much since we started traveling in the 60s, which really, when you think about it, was less than a quarter century after World War II, when we were traveling in Europe when I was a
Mhm.
small child. And then when I was a journalist in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India, which was 79 and through the 80s. And yeah, you used to be able to go places where a lot of well, really non-Indigenous people had not been there. And as recently as 2004, 2005, when I went to a very remote area of Tibet with a service group of people, we went up to a village at 17,000 feet in Tibet where they had never ever seen foreigners before. And all of my friends had blue eyes, so except for me, and some of them had blonde hair. And so the people were super friendly, and we were also offering medical care of various sorts, but they were just like they were touching our hair and looking into our eyes. And there was just these moments of heart to heart connection. So I think it's important to preserve kind of the world before all of this technology, all of this, internet stuff. And not that a lot of it isn't valuable, but we have a lot to learn from the world before that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, history is so important and documenting all of it. Um, so is it photos of, I guess you have some photos of the people and photos of the scenery, the
Yeah.
landscape. Um, Anything else that I'm like that
Yeah,
would be of
well,
interest, like what kind of
well,
photos they are?
yeah, that would be, a lot of portraits because I had a style of photography where I would not bring out the camera. And you have to remember that until we had digital photography and everybody had phones, film was very expensive and
Right.
it was awkward to travel with. And you went abroad for maybe 9 months or a year with a few little anti-X-ray tubes of film, and
Right.
that was all you had. So you really waited for what the photographer Henri Cartier-Bresson called the decisive moment. And so that's why I just wouldn't even bring it out until I'd had tea with people and was
Now let
talking.
me add, because I look at the technical end of this, where especially if pictures were taken by your parents, uh, s- scenery, but was it in black and white or color?
Most of it was in color. Most of it is slide transparency, so either
Oh, slides, very good.
Ektachrome
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Kodachrome, which is no longer made.
Mm.
And there are issues with fading. Mine's in a climate, a lot of this is now in a climate controlled storage unit.
Right.
But I'd really like to get them digitized. And I'm just doing it as, I haven't really had any donations yet for this project, and I hope I will. People are welcome to go to the website. So go to Global Diversity Film, look at the Lost Worlds Archive tab, and download for free, hopefully by donation, hopefully in a circular economy, they would be moved to make some donation on PayPal towards the work itself.
Okay, now this is something that I remember reading about. Somebody who had gone to high climates, high altitudes, and they brought all this film with them, but the film was not, it froze, or it was too brittle when it got up into a higher, less, maybe less humid, a very arid but cold air
Yeah.
temperature, and the film would crack in the camera.
Mm. I never was in such extreme,
Okay.
so I was up at 18,500 feet
Wow.
back in 1986, Kalapatar, which is this pyramid-shaped hill above the Everest Base Camp. And I didn't have that problem. And then when we went to this village in Tibet called Tajuk, we were probably at about 17,000 feet. But again, and it was summer, it was late May by that
Oh,
point.
well.
So, it wasn't that cold.
So I'm looking on your website now. Fascinating pictures. I couldn't even look away. I kind of forgot that you guys were there. Mother Teresa treating a leprosy patient. Is that one of the pictures?
Yeah,
The real
yeah.
Mother Teresa?
The
The
real Mother Teresa, I
wow.
met her.
I don't think there's any like
The
Mother
fake one.
Teresa cover
The fake
bands or
Mother
something
Teresa, the
like
AI one. Um,
that.
Yeah, I was really lucky to meet her in 1979, just after it was announced that she'd won the Nobel Peace Prize. She hadn't gone to Oslo to claim it yet. And I went there and I volunteered for some days in the Home for the Dying, and also, the children's home, and also then worked documenting the place, the home for people with leprosy, which is no longer called that. It's called Hansen's disease now. And it is fully curable if people have access to the right medicines. But I was so inspired by her, and I did write about this in my book, which I'd like to bring out again because it's now out of print. It's called Sisters on the Bridge of Fire: One Woman's Journeys in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. I think you can find it online, probably used copies, but I'm probably going to go ahead and do a little revision on the preface and bring it out again sometime soon, because that talks about my meeting with her.
Yeah, I highly encourage people to go and look at these photos and donate so that we can see more of them, and document history of the world. History is so important, and I think in the United States we think we're the world. We think we're it. And I think it shrinks the world for us, and it causes us to be very closed-minded. And when we can see other people in other countries, they're just like us. They have the same feelings and the same wants and the same desires. They might look different, but they are just like us. We're all, whatever you want to say, however you want to say it, God's
But
children.
most of them, their society and their cultures are a lot more than 250 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
and we have so much to learn from each other too. Again, I think there's just an arrogance in the United States where we just think we know everything and we are the best. And we have, we're like little toddlers really, in the world. And we have so much to learn from other cultures. And so just seeing pictures like this is inspiring to see, oh, those people, they dress differently, they eat different kinds of food. Um, and you know how
Now,
we all love the
since
diverse
I
food.
since I've known you, Deborah, you've to my knowledge,
Mm.
you have always seemed to have traveled to countries a little bit more chilly than I might have decided to go to. Yeah, I know you've been to Egypt and and stuff like that.
Bali,
Yeah.
Thailand,
Why
yeah.
don't you tell us about more of Southern Hemisphere things that maybe you've done or would like to do?
Yeah. Well, I was in Bali in 19, oh, sorry, in just a few years ago, 2023. Um, and I had gone to a wedding in Thailand, one of those destination weddings. And then I had a chance to really, really see some things in Bali that you don't see every day. They had a huge cremation procession. And my friend, my American friend I was staying with, who I had met on a boat on the Nile, was saying, "Oh, you've got to go to this. You've got to go to this." And going, "Oh, I don't know." And what had happened was that during COVID, they were not allowed to have funerals and bury people. And so it all kind of built up
Mm.
until 2023. They just had this very beautiful, with the gamelan orchestras and all the flower offerings, and they had these golden stupas on the back of elephants.
What is
Oh, wow.
the culture there? Is it
It's
Hi-
actually it's a branch of Hinduism
Hindu?
primarily.
Hindu.
Yeah,
I was
most
going to
of
say
it.
Buddhism, but this
Yeah,
sounds more Hindu.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and it's kind of unusual. It's kind of syncretic or mixed. Most of Indonesia is actually Muslim, but the island of Bali, for historical reasons,
Mhm.
became mostly Hindu.
Wow. I
Yeah.
just want to let you know, I just made a donation. So am I the first one that made a donation? It's not
I
a
think
lot. It's not gonna, pay for all your bills, but
Yeah, thank you so much.
you're the
Yeah, a
first
few
one.
people have here and there.
Yeah.
And, I found that I'm not very good at marketing in the digital age. And so not that many people know about what I'm doing. So I do hope to do more of that, of informing people what's going on, about this
Yeah.
project.
Well, we'll
So thank
definitely
you.
put a link below in case anybody else wants to donate or so
And one
inspired.
of the other people that we've interviewed and we just recently spoke about, Kay Wagner, she does a Monday afternoon group online
Oh, yeah.
for writers who want to market and promote their work. So I'm sure yours would fit in quite well if you and it does it's free. She does this. Uh,
Nice.
and you might pick up something, one or two
Yeah.
things
Oh,
that
yeah.
would
Yeah.
be helpful for you. So if you remind me during the week and I'll get you the
Okay.
link for
Thank
that.
you. Yeah.
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 Yeah, because people should know about this and be able to enjoy it, and see all the photos as you upload them.
It's
Yeah.
but it's to me stuff like that isn't just for enjoyment. It's world history.
Education.
It's
Yeah.
a slice of time that will never be repeated in that place.
Yeah, my mother taught me that everybody wants the same thing. I mean, that's why, we went to the Soviet Union in Eastern Europe in 1969 during the Cold War.
Wow.
And it's not like she was a socialist or anything like that. She just, it was part of our heritage, Slavic, and she was curious. And, people were so welcoming and so friendly. It didn't matter that we were American. Um, people's hearts are all the same. And she just said, look, they want the same things. We all want family and friends and a nice roof over our head and security and good food to eat and some fun and, go play some sports or go to a movie or, whatever gives you joy, paint something, write something. So I learned that from her. And I'm actually starting on a memoir about my parents called The Apple Doesn't Fall Far from the Tree. My adventurous mom and artistic dad, because they just really had a different way of looking at the world than most people I know my age ever had. I mean, we really valued that traveling. And mother later went with me to Tibet. We went on two treks in Nepal in her late 50s and to Tibet in 1987. And we did plan to go to Machu Picchu, and we were planning on an Alaska eco cruise. And unfortunately, she passed away. She went really peacefully the way she wanted to at 88 and had a great life. But yeah, Nobody can live forever, but I sure miss my mom in particular. And my dad just he loved art and he was a Francophile. And so quite often we'd travel in Europe and then he'd meet us in Paris for 2 weeks
Yeah.
and go to a lot of museums because that was what he loved.
Wow. Yeah, this is awesome. Really, really. As far as we were talking about people, everybody being the same. Really, the difference from country to country isn't the people, it's the governing. It's the
Yeah.
governments that are different. That's the only thing that makes some countries seem like very bad countries. It's not the people there, it's the government,
Oh.
unfortunately. So until we figure out world peace, which
Well,
hopefully we'll continue to work
yeah,
on forever.
we
Um,
are working on that now. Do either of you remember? John might be old enough to remember this. There was a beautiful booklet that came out when I was in high school. It was called The Family of Man, and it was a photographic book of an exhibition in New York City. I think could it have been at the Museum of Modern Art? But I got it for Christmas in high school. And I would just look at all of these pictures, and it might be a really old man in Indonesia, or it might be an African
But
woman.
it was just face
It was,
shots.
yeah, yeah.
It
And it was
was
a
just they on
yeah,
in a like a coffee table book.
coffee
I
table
think
book. I
I think
yeah.
still have
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Wow, I think I've heard
And
of that.
that's what inspired me really as a photographer was I just wanted to capture, the heart-to-heart interactions with people all over the world because I've been in 53 countries
Mm.
and it gives you, perspective. And then of course their surroundings. How do they live? What do their houses look like? How has that changed? So, for example, when I did my first National Geographic article, which was published in 1981, it was about the Kalash people who still exist. They are people in the Hindu Kush Mountains who are not Muslim. They are shamanic or animist or whatever word you want to use. They have their own traditions. Right now, in fact, tomorrow, their Chalmos festival begins, which I recounted in the National Geographic article. And so they send me pictures. And so the cool thing
Oh,
about technology is that, first of all, I could every year for Chamos, I send them a few $100s, which is a huge difference. They can feast and invite people. That's a lot of money in their village economy, right? And I can send it on Western Union. And then they send me a whole bunch of pictures.
oh,
And
wow.
some of the styles have changed. And, I have some things I should donate to a museum because they are just no longer using a particular style of this cowrie shell headdress and the eagle feathers in their hair and in their headdress and things like that. It looks
Do
more
you think
modern.
they're not doing that because they have become influenced by things they've seen
Yeah, absolutely.
outside
They're
of
becoming
their culture?
modernized, more modern.
I more modernized in a lot of ways. I mean, it's really good that they have electricity because when I was there, you got up in the morning and you started that stove, and then the photographer that I was with would send me and his girlfriend down to the river to get water and
Oh,
you know to
no.
heat up, and you had to be
Yeah,
careful what you ate.
here
So
now.
mhm.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yeah, and you had to be a little careful what you ate in those days and if it was clean and things like that. So they have electricity now. They have internet. They all have phones.
But
And
here,
so
let me. What do you think of this?
yeah.
Okay, let's go back. Let's go back even for our culture. 30 years ago, 1995. Okay,
Mhm.
1995. You take a picture of a group of people. They dress this way.
Yeah.
Take it again in 1996. Everybody's style is a little different.
Yeah.
Okay. 97, dramatically different from 2 years earlier.
Yeah.
Your places where you go, you take a picture in 1995, take another picture in 2010, and it looks the same. The people might dress the same, their style's the same. But, maybe over 30 years, like you
Yeah.
said,
Mhm.
another culture infected them or got to them.
Well, Well, I mean, we have this sort of Western dominated monoculture, and, is it a good thing or bad thing? I mean, you
Right.
can't really say. It's like those
Right.
stories about is this good, is this bad? I mean, it depends on how it's used. AI can be used for good things. Not sure what they are yet, but for medicine, for example, like if they can take my friend's tumor and analyze it and say, "Oh my gosh, this chemo will cure you,"
Yep.
that's a great use of AI. AI slop that we're seeing all over the place
Yep.
and deep fakes and things like that, that's like, oh my gosh, And you know what I've been thinking of a lot is 30 years ago when I first moved to Santa Fe, well, we had the internet, but barely. We did a little email. Websites took a long time to load. Hardly anyone had personal ones, but we had so much more time. Like, I'd get together with friends and we do like beading, like peyote beading of a feather or, some moccasins or whatever. We learned a lot from our indigenous friends. Or we do artwork, or we'd get together and, we still have writers groups and stuff, but it just seemed like we'd have 4 or 5 hours, no phones. In fact, when I did have a beading group, a couple of years ago, I said, turn off your phones, leave them in the other room. We're going to listen to music and we're going to talk and we're going to show each other what we're doing and help each other out. And so I just think that there's a balance that's needed. Sometimes I just shut down the screen, I go outside, and it's like I'm going to finish putting up my solar Christmas lights. Yeah, when we finish this interview, and just be out there, even though it's cold and go for a walk or just look at the ravens. When I was putting up lights the other day, there was this huge raven that was talking to me and watching me.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, technology has brought us a lot of advantages and
Yeah.
benefits, and
Yeah.
then it's also robbed us of some of our time. Time
You
is probably
you
the
you
biggest thing.
said something about, yeah, just go outside without your phone. I remember a time 30 years ago
yeah.
when I used to come home and I used to love to go to the answering machine and
Yeah.
see who called me while I was, and now, look, I'm home. Let's see who called.
Yeah.
Boom, and you hit that button. And if nobody called, nobody called. But if
Yeah.
people called, it was,
They have a
oh,
message.
okay, cool. I'll reach out to them. And then you'd wind up leaving a message on their machine, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now people don't even want to answer the
They don't
call.
even leave messages.
They
Yeah.
text,
Yeah,
or
no.
you're right, they don't leave a message. They
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
"Oh,
Nobody leaves
he saw I called.
Yep.
That'll be enough. I
Yep.
don't
Yeah.
need,
Well, I think we can, for ourselves, I can speak for myself, take control of it to the extent that I leave the ringer off a lot. And as a writer, I find that I need to turn off the cell phone. I still have a landline, turn off the ringer of the landline, stay off the internet, just go sit in a room and write my essay or my chapter of
Right.
a novel or a memoir or whatever I'm writing, and just focus because it's very defocusing.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I must be weird or something because to me the phone is very I don't check it. I get notifications all day and texts and stuff, and I don't te in fact, my boss, I had to give him a special notification because I wouldn't answer his texts because I don't answer them. And then my messages, I never answer them. And
Yeah,
sometimes people call and leave a message, and I'm like, the next week, a week later, I'm like, oh, I just got your message. Oops.
Right.
yeah,
I don't know, I just don't feel compelled. I guess I'm not that important that anybody's calling me with anything. And or they, you can email me, you can leave a
yeah,
message on Facebook. There's so many ways to get a hold of people.
yeah.
But
That's another problem too. It used to be the phone. You
Yeah.
had the phone, and that was it.
yeah, now
Then
there's
the pager,
oh yeah,
this thing
yeah,
that paged you with somebody's number.
yeah,
Oh, okay. And then for a while we had, like Deborah, home phones and cell phones.
Hmm.
And then,
yeah,
and
the cell phone.
realistically, once you're in a home, yeah, okay, that's that. But then, like me or Kelly, you move. And then, well, do I really need to have a house phone installed?
I
you
don't
know.
even know if you could get one.
Yeah, a
I
lot of
mean,
people don't have them anymore. Most people don't use them.
yeah,
I've
but
gone I've gone into hotels, good hotels, Hilton
yeah.
hotels, no phone in the room.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about
Yeah.
that.
You don't see t
That's a really
payphones
cool.
around the town anymore. You know, you
Yeah,
see like
yeah,
booths and
Payphones.
everything. Yeah, you don't see.
yeah.
But I have to tell you, I have to go back to when you talked about the answering machine, John. I found old cassettes from
Of
my answering
messages.
machine. And I can't tell you what a treasure they are because I played them. I bought a little cassette player because who has one anymore? And I played them and then I transferred them onto my computer and downloaded them. My father, who has passed away, there's a message from him. My
Wow.
aunt and uncle who have passed away, there's messages from them. And it's weird. It's different than a picture or a video. It
Yes.
almost feels like they're alive. It
Yeah.
almost feels like they're somewhere because if you see the picture, it's a picture. It's it's not them physically,
Yeah.
but to hear their voice, oh, it's such a treasure.
Yeah.
If anybody gets a chance to do that or record
Yeah.
loved ones, that's a really nice thing to have. Anyway,
Well, that's the other thing that I'm going to be adding to Lost World's archive is some audio files that I recorded because, you had cassette players, you were
yep,
lucky if you had that, and some video. My mom, as I said, became quite the videographer. And so, we have some amazing stuff of our trek in 1986 to Everest Base Camp, and her voice is on that. And yeah, it just really brings it back in a very powerful way, listening
yeah,
to our loved ones' voices. And one of the funniest ones, maybe I'll put it on just because it's so funny. My parents did a satire of this belly dance video where they show, them, they had somebody shoot them like knocking on the door or getting home, and they had these big doors that looked like Moroccan doors, and it was from a trip to Morocco, and it's like, oh, it's good to be home. And they open the door and there's all this belly dance music, and then it's the cats, and they dress the cats up
ah,
in turbans, and like
cute.
one of them's a little belly dancer. And none of that music is copyrighted, so I could go ahead and do
Yeah,
that just for fun. I think a lot
yeah,
of people would get a kick out of that because I think humor is important.
yeah,
I think it's one thing like to look at the Afghan refugee pictures and your heart goes out to them. And I wonder where those people are and if they survived the various wars. So it's important to have that heart connection about that and compassion, but it's also important to laugh. And that's what I'm finding more and more on a daily basis. Something that just makes me laugh. I
yeah.
so appreciate it.
Can you imagine in 50 years or 20 years what TikTok's going to be like? Looking back on TikTok and all the videos on TikTok, if somebody's archiving those, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Lots of
Wow.
silliness on TikTok.
Yeah,
Make you laugh and smile.
that's good. Yeah.
But so what do you have coming up, or the archives is what's
Yeah.
happening?
The archives is one of the things that's happening, and that will be an ongoing process as long as I'm on the planet. And then I started working on this memoir, The Apple Didn't Fall Far from the Tree. I was in Canada for the summer. I was in Vancouver. I have a lot of friends up there, and it just had a lovely place on the edge of the rainforest. It was very quiet. So I wrote several chapters, and then I just got so busy meeting new friends and hanging out with old friends. I wasn't as disciplined a writer as I had wanted to be, but I do intend to work on that this winter.
But it was summer, right? While you
It
were
was
there.
summer. It was
So
summer.
it's, I'm sure it was that's the beautiful time of year there.
It was a little
So,
hot. It was hotter than I liked, but
wow. Wow. Okay.
but a lot of the time I went walking in the forest that was literally right outside my door. There was a bear outside my window. That was kind of
Okay,
cool.
that's not good. Okay.
Yeah, well, you watch for
Stay
bears.
in, stay inside.
As people in BC say, it's only a black bear
Oh,
as
well,
opposed to a
a
grizzly.
Not a grizzly.
grizzly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but
Yeah, you
they
don't
could
want to
still
see a
outrun
grizzly.
you,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
So,
Wow. So you've lived a very adventurous
oh
life
yeah,
and
she
seen so
has.
much
yeah.
of the
Yes, she has.
world. Is there anything you would do differently? Do you have any regrets, or are you just so happy that you got to see all the places you saw? Is there something else you missed you want to see?
No, I mean, I think it was I mean, I still hope to meet this cat loving, cat loving, creative, kind man somewhere that, suits me. And, all the better if he's in Canada and I can be both places. Um, but other than it's not like there was someone where I went like, oh, I should have
Bless
married this person. Bless you,
Excuse me, thank you.
or I should have done this, or I should have done that. I've just followed my intuition, everywhere, and I became an energy healer, a healing touch instructor and practitioner. Um, so I just intend to keep my heart open and travel as much as possible. I mean, we're not getting any younger, so I just feel that enjoy it every moment, every day. I did an exercise where you write 100 things you're grateful for the other night. And at 108, I was tired and I finally stopped. And I hadn't even mentioned my friends by name. I just put friends.
Yeah,
So there were just so many things. I think it's a really useful exercise while we are challenged in so many ways in this present time. It is good to focus on gratitude. And I'm certainly grateful for all the people that I've met over the years. And one of my best friends in Vancouver is actually a woman named Bibi, she was a refugee from Zanzibar, Gujarati descent, or actually Kutchi, Indian descent. And they came to Kenya and then they came to the UK, and then she went to all these exclusive boarding schools and became kind of in some ways a brown English woman. She was Ismaili Muslim, married a Sikh from Hong Kong, and they have this huge family in Vancouver, and they consider me, I'm their chosen family and they're my chosen family. And that's why I'd like to spend a lot, more time there. And I just learned so much from them because they've had a whole different way of living. Like her husband being a Sikh from Hong Kong,
yeah.
born in Hong Kong, speaks perfect Cantonese, perfect British English, perfect Hindi, Punjabi, and perfect Mandarin, and had a career in business. And then she teaches English as a foreign language to immigrants and refugees in Canada. And she's technically retired, but she loves the work and they love her so much. And so they just keep on asking her to come and come back and teach and substitute and teacher train and all of that. And so I really enjoyed being in Vancouver area and took a lot of pictures. I finally got to see some old growth forest, communed with some barred owls in the forest one night. And yeah,
Have you not going, okay, maybe not as far north as Canada, but have you ever gone to this very remote place called Wyoming?
I know, I think I cut through the corner of Wyoming one time on the way to Rosebud Reservation. I went
Because
to
that's because that little state is where Kelly is.
yeah, and I understand it's really beautiful. I have a friend who spent a great deal of time in Story, and she's an artist, and she was also, and years ago, gosh, 25 years ago, helping the Cheyenne people with repatriation of sacred objects. And she had a grant to do that and worked very closely with the Cheyenne Nation.
Yeah.
Well, okay, this is great, but yes, we want to promote your archive project.
Thank you.
That,
Yeah.
that will definitely
Lost
do.
world. Yeah.
That'll help. That'll
So,
really help. Yeah.
my
And
pleasure. Our
and
pleasure.
the idea is that, it's under a Creative Commons Type 2 license, which means non-commercial use. It's an honor system. I hope nobody will take it and make weird deep fakes now that they can do that. I hope that, like if a student, if a student somewhere and they don't have a credit card and they're 16 years old and they're doing some research about these places, more power to them. Just download it, use it, or whatever. Please give me credit. That's what it says.
Right.
But for people who do have resources, I hope they'll be moved to at least make,
Yeah, you
small
need
donations.
some wealthy donors that want to
I
preserve
could use some
history.
mountain wealthy donors.
Um, I
Yeah,
think even just for someone to log in and look at them, to
yeah,
not download
yeah,
them or use them for anything, but just to look through them.
yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe in the future you'll do a book. turn them into a book.
Maybe it's a little
Coffee table book.
expensive doing photography,
Yeah, they are. It is.
but you never know. Don't rule anything out.
Hey, let me get a movie made, Deborah, and I'll be happy to back your book.
Yeah.
There
Well,
you go.
your novels certainly lend themselves well to movies. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We
Yeah.
really
Thank
do
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
And it's good
Yeah. Nice
seeing
to
you
catch up
again,
with you.
always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
All
Keep us
right.
posted. Let us know, as the Lost Worlds archive grows. And
Okay.
so we can log in and see some more pictures and maybe get together and do another meeting, another Zoom.
Okay.
absolutely.
Thanks,
Thank
Kelly.
you.
Thanks,
All
John.
right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Take
John.
care.
Thanks, John.
Bye-bye.
All views expressed in this video belong to Kelly Nicholson, John D'Amore, and guests. These discussions do not represent the opinions of any entity whatsoever with which they have been affiliated now or will be in the future. The opinions expressed are solely theirs, and since they are critically thinking human beings, these views are subject to change, subject to revision, and subject to rethinking at any time. These conversations are not meant to be taken as advice and are only for the purpose of entertainment. All statements may be based on hearsay and not necessarily valid proof of any claims in this video. It is not our intention to teach or advise on any topic. Unless otherwise noted, all photos are public domain. Thanks for watching A Slice of Life with Kelly and John.